Hey y'all, Jim Pankey here. Do you ever find yourself needing a break in a different key, one that you're really not used to playing out of? The following bits are from my live stream that I did on creating a break for a song that you know, but in a different key. Uh, if you want to watch the rest of it, all the questions and all of the chat and all of that, follow this link and it'll take you there. But this is all the meat, so hopefully it'll help you. Thanks. For the most part, the steps are simple. Find the chords, figure out what melody works closest to those chords, and then just go for it. It's playing a song in a different key. You may have learned a song in a key. You probably did. I mean, if you learned a song, you learned it in a specific key. We know that to be the truth. But as you play and as you hang out with other people, you're going to discover that that key that you may have learned that song in is not good for the singer, especially if it's a singing song. Now, if it's a picking song, chances are you're not really going to have to do anything really weird for that. You can just pick it in the key. I mean, you may have learned it in G, and then a mandolin player is going to say, "Oh, I do that one in A." Okay, so you capo up. That's cool. And so that, for me, that was one of the first ways that I understood how to play in a different key. So I learned Cripple Creek. Well, I learned Cripple Creek off the Flat and Scruggs album, Foggy Mountain Banjo album. So obviously I learned it in the key of A. All right. And then a few years ago, that's just where Cripple Creek is for most fiddle players, mandolin players. They just play an A. It just makes sense. And if you play mandolin or fiddle, you understand why. But that's not a big deal because using a capo makes those sorts of changes easy. But when I was a younger guy, pre-driver's license, I was playing banjo with James and Mary Paget. And so Mary was the primary singer, great voice, and really the queen of bluegrass music back then. But come to find out, like the first time I went down to play with her, songs that I knew were in a different key. There became my exploration into figuring out breaks to songs in new keys. So I was forced to do it, so it was pretty important to be able to do that. And so let's take a bluegrass. Let's take just a standard bluegrass song that we all know and love. So let's do Old Home Place. That's a good one because it's weird. It's got a weird chord change. Even in the chorus, you so it has in the vernacular that I heard growing up around this music, I heard off chord. What's that off chord? Meaning the chord that's not, G, C, or D. So in Old Home Place, we've got, in the key of G, we've got G, B, C, and G. It's been 10 long years since I left my home in a hollow where I was born, where the cool fall nights make the wood smoke rise and the fox hunter blows his horn. All right, so it goes to that B. How many of y'all did my Nashville Number System lesson recently that I posted? We're going to need it. We're going to kind of going to need it. Well, we don't need it, but it's very helpful and makes this a little easier. Let's put it that way. That's in G. It's been 10 long years since I left my home in a hollow where I was born. It's in G. That's where I sing it. But here I am, 15 years old, playing with Mary Paget, and Mary says, let's do Old Home Place. She says, but I do it in the key of F. Now, holy cow, key of F. How are we going to get to the key of F? When I was 15, I probably didn't even know what chords went with the key of F. And so I'm scrambling in my brain to figure that out. So I'm thinking, okay, in G, it goes from G to B. So in F, what's it do? Can I come up with a break to Old Home Place in F? So we got to figure out what are our chords. And so what I do first is I figure out what my chords are. What are my chords? And in this song, we know it's going to go 1, 3, 4, 1. If you've done my Nashville Number System, you know what we're talking about. So in G, it's G is the 1, B is the 3, 4 is C, and back to the 1. It's been 10 long years since I left my home. So we're just going to go that far, just to keep things short and simple. So all right, so what's the 1 in the key of F? It's a F. So we know it goes 1, and then it goes to the 3. So what would my 3 be in the key of F? A. So we're going from F to A, and now where are we going next? It's been 10 long years since. What's our next chord? What comes after A in the musical alphabet? It's B flat in the key of F, because we have in the key of F a B flat. Okay, so let's just play that. So now we know our chords. It's been 10 long years since I left my home and where I was. And it goes to the 5, which is a C. Born where the cool fall nights make the word smoke rise, and a fox hunter blows his horn. All right, so now we know our chords for the verse of, what song are we playing? Old Home Place. Now, all I'm doing at this point is I am just in the background of this jam, playing the chords that I have just figured out on the fly with a roll. It's been 10 long years since I left my home in a highway where I was born, where the cool fall nights make the wood smoke rise, and a fox hunter blows his horn. Now so the break comes around to us. What if I don't really have a break yet, and I know at some point they're going to look at me and say, at maybe the next jam, Jim, kick off Old Home Place, and so I've got to have a kickoff. So what you need to do is we need to try different rolls. So try it with a forward and reverse roll. It's been 10 long years since I left my home in a holler where I was born. And start listening to see if any of the notes that you are playing is actually a note that you're singing. This is how we're going to build our break. We're going to take the melody and cram it into some rolls that we're playing and hope for the best. So let's see what we've got. So as I'm doing that, it's been 10. So the very first note in our forward and reverse roll, or alternating roll, is that third string in F. So it's been 10 long years since I don't have a melody note for my B flat, but check it out. So we kind of have, it's been 10 long years since I left. So I don't have one there. 10 long years since so I left my home. And so you hear what I'm doing. I am singing the melody note, and then I'm humming it on the banjo. It's been 10 long years since I left my So there's melody note. So I just hunt and peck until I find it. And you think, oh, I don't have all day to hunt and peck. What else you got to do? How are you going to get better at this if you don't sit and hunt and peck and figure out where the notes are? You say, but Jim, I could just go to the internet and get a tab for Old Home Place in F. You can't? Really? No, you can't. You can't do that. It's not going to happen, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to get back with Mary the next week, and she's going to say, you know, I really don't do that in F all that well. I think I want to do that in E flat. It's like, oh crap, now I got to go back. This is pre-internet. You know, we didn't have internet when I was a kid. And I know that's hard to believe. But I sit and hunt that melody. So let's try this again. It's been 10 long years since I left my home in where I was born. So look, we got melody notes right in our chords. Where I was born, where the cool, so that's a third string. Cool fall nights make the wood smoke rise, and the 500 blows his horn. So we have most of the melody notes are going to live somewhere near the chords that we're playing. And now I kind of almost have a break in my head for doing this. Okay, so let's see what we've got. So I'm gonna push y'all down here so you can watch both hands a little bit. Y'all don't need my pretty face. Here we go. So here we go. And we're just gonna do forward and reverse roll here. So we're in the key F. We're doing Old Home Place. It's been 10 long years since I left my home in Ohio, where I was born. Ooh, I did a hammer on just because it felt good. Sometimes it's good to do things that feel good. All right, so here's our break. So it comes around to us in the jam. So we're going to do this. So at this point, I'm just trusting my brain to tell me what to do. So to emphasize our melodies, I'm doing a hammer on. Okay, I do a walk up. 2 notes. Da, da, and I'm going to hammer this note for my melody. And then I'm going to slide to the A. All right, so now it's starting to sound like a banjo break. We can slide up to the B flat because, well, we're cool. And then we're going to go back down to the F. then we're going to hammer that fourth string. Why? Because it feels good. All right, here we go. Now we've got the makings of a break. Here we go, one more time. So all I did was decide to do a different roll. Jim, how do you know what roll to play? You just pick one. You just pick one. It doesn't matter which one. You just pick a roll. You go for it. So I picked that when I went back to that F, I decided that I was going to do an alternating roll. Why? I don't know. I hadn't done one in a minute. And I thought, well, let's just do an alternating roll there. It's not rocket surgery. You just pick something. And here's the thing, if you pick something and it's awful, nobody gets hurt, and you pick something else the next time. So watch this. So we're going to do alternating rolls, forward and reverse. Okay, we're going to do forward and reverse. Forward and reverse. We're going to slide. Forward and reverse. Forward and reverse again because, well, why the heck not? And then we're going to hammer back to our F because those sound good, and we're going to do a forward and reverse. And now we're going to do something different because, well, we're bored of forward and reverse. Let's do something different. So we're going to, what other roll we know? Alternating roll. We should be real comfortable with that about this point. And so I'm just going to hammer that fourth string. You don't have to. You don't have to hammer, but you can if you want to. And then we can hammer that third string. And then let's go to C because that's where it goes. And what we want to do in C, let's do a forward and reverse. Why? Because we just did some alternatings, and it would be nice to have a pattern going on. So here's what we got for our break so far. Let's see. And then we go to C, forward and reverse. And a forward and reverse off the 4. Why? Because, well, we just decided that might sound good. At some point, I experiment and I try different things. And this is how you know what works. I mean, how you know when you've put too much salt in your beans? How you know? You got to put too much salt in them and try it. And then you say, okay, that's too much salt. So next time you're a little less salty. So that's pretty important. So here we go. Now we have a kickoff, and it's not a great one. It's not a fantastic kickoff. It's nothing that anybody is ever going to say, oh man, I've got to learn that kickoff. And because it's not that great, but here's what it is. It's functional. It works. It fits the song. And now when I go back to band practice with Mary and she says, all right, kick off Old Home Place. Remember, I do that in F. I got a break in F. Key of F. I got a break. It's not great, but there it is. We have now learned this in the key of F. honestly, until today, I had never really tried to play it at F. Mary did it in E flat, as I fondly remember. But, you know, but we used F just as an example, and I wanted to do it in a key that I had never done it in, just to show you the process that I go through. So how could we fancy it up? We could do something like, so we do an alternating roll with a hammer, A chord, and now we've got a break. And the second part basically is just chords. What have they done to the old home place? Goes to the 2. In G we went to A. In F we're going to go to G. Why did they tear it down? And why did I leave the plow in the field and look for a job in the town? Clear as mud. Yeah. So that's how this works. And you can do this in any key, whatever you wanted to do. I mean, you know, if you wanted to learn it in C, but first you got to figure out your chord changes. And then you just start noodling with the chord changes until you start hearing melody notes. Once you hear melody notes, then you have to find ways to emphasize the melody notes. Then once then at that point, you just kind of got to stick it all together. You know what you got to do? You just got to try. You just got to try. Just try. So many people are afraid to try. And that, you know, that's kind of a little pet peeve of mine. It's like, just do the thing. Just try. But Jim, what if it's not any good? Who said it was supposed to be good? It's just something to try. So hopefully that helps y'all. Go do the thing. Don't be afraid to try. Can I leave you with a word of advice? Life advice. If you're carrying around yesterday, put that stuff down. It's heavy. Yesterday's heavy. Drop that. Move on. All right. We'll see y'all. Bye.